everyone is welcome to our Netflix Cinemax YouTube channel today. The Korean series Mouse is one of the best series that has been created about a terrible serial killer. So, I have finished the first episode of this series. I will remind you first what happened in the first episode. There was a vicious serial killer who brutally killed people. But the police had no clue that this serial killer eventually went to kill a family and a little child who was there. That is, Kimichi followed the traces and the police finally found out who this serial killer was. It is none other than the brain specialist named Hong. When Hong was arrested, Hong's wife, her name was Kim. Kim is pregnant. Kim then had Professor Lee do a DNA test on the child she was expecting. Then Professor Lee discovers that the child Kim is about to have will be either a psychopath or a predator just like Hong. But this mother made a decision that day that she would not abort the child she was expecting. So, for those who haven't seen the first episode of this series, the above card is given and the link of the video is also given in the description below. Be sure to watch that video and watch the second episode of this Mouse series that I am going to do today. So, through today's episode, you can know that even though Han is in custody 25 years later, a serial kill even worse than Han is killing people again. So before going to watch the second episode of this series, I remind you that you have not subscribed to our Netflix Cinemax YouTube channel. Or don't forget to subscribe to the red button below and click on the bell icon next to it. Then let's go see what happened in the second episode out. The best. In the previous episode, Professor Lee discovered that Kim's unborn child has psychopathic genes. After that, Professor Lee gives a certain document to someone and shows it to us at this time. When you watch this series, you will understand what Professor Lee took away and to whom he gave it. And then it shows Jae-hoon, the kid you remember watching with great eagerness after feeding a mouse to that snake. After Jae-hoon killed the fish and the pet dog at home, there was a big problem. After that question, this time we are shown that Jae-hoon has killed his mother and father. The police then arrest Jae-hoon on suspicion. Jae-hoon is then checked by the police with a lie detector, but the police cannot find evidence even there. In fact, such psychopaths can lie even to such a lie detector. That's why Jae-hoon escapes the lie detector this time. 25 years after this incident, a terrible serial killer has appeared again. This terrible serial killer has burned and killed a gym coach named Moo Jin. In addition, this time, we are shown that another woman walking on the street is followed, and this vicious serial killer kills that woman as well. In this way, 25 years later, it is none other than Jae-hoon who killed his mother and father, who is killing people again. But Jae-hoon has changed his name by now. Not only that, the face of this terrible serial killer is not shown to us at this time. You will understand who this terrible serial killer is while watching this series. After that, you may remember 25 years ago, the child named Kimichi, who gave the clue about the terrible serial killer known as Dr. Hong's headhunter. But now Kimichi is a detective. At this time, we are shown Kimichi being chased by a killer who has killed women. However, this killer climbs a building and jumps to the ground in front of Kimichi and commits suicide. Although Kimichi is a skilled detective, he often does his duties after drinking alcohol. The police are currently finding the body of Jim Kook Moo Jin, who was killed, and the body of the woman who was killed. The police now believe that the murders were committed by the same person. Kimichi strongly believes that the vicious serial killer himself has started this work again. And then it appears Kimichi goes to see Dr. Hong, who is already in prison. Dr. Hong has been sentenced to death even now. At this time, Kimichi goes and talks to Han and says that, "I will definitely kill you in front of your child someday." So even now, Han thinks that his wife, that is, Kim, was killed before her child was born. At this time, we are shown that Han remembers an incident that happened 25 years ago. After Han's arrest, Kim has come to see Hong. At that time, Kim said that after meeting the child, he killed the child with his own hands. But now Kimichi says that Hong's child is still alive. In the meantime, it is shown that Kimichi also remembers a certain incident. You remember, when the headhunter, or Dr. Hong, came and attacked Kimichi's family. Besides killing Kimichi's mother and father, Kimichi's brother was severely beaten. For many years after that, Kimichi has to undergo many operations to save his brother's life, so Kimichi has no money for this. Kimichi then went to see Kim and asked for money for his brother's surgery, because Kim's husband has put his brother in this situation. That way, when young Kimichi went to see Kim, he saw that Kim was with his son. That's why Kimichi tells Han at this time that one day I will kill you in front of your son. Meanwhile, we are shown that a young girl named Cho is coming to meet Kimuchi. That Cho is someone who makes a program about this kind of criminal investigation on a TV channel. That's why Cho is keeping Kimuchi in shade, because he wants to know the details about this criminal investigation. But Kimuchi doesn't like Cho to come and ask for information about this investigation. Cho comes at this time and asks Kimuchi about the murders, but Kimuchi avoids going into details about it. But this time, the one that Cho has is a photo. In that photo, Kimuchi is very drunk and playing casino with other people. So Kimuchi wants to tell Cho about these murders because he is afraid that this photo will fall into someone else's hands. After that, Kimuchi takes Cho away. You may remember that at the beginning of today's episode, that vicious serial killer killed a woman. That woman's name is Kim Soo. About 100 meters away from where Kim Soo's body was found, Kimuchi found some blood-stained rice grains. Therefore, Kimuchi at this point concludes that the vicious serial killer attacked the woman Kim Soo while she was leaving, because Kimuchi has now found out that it was a packet of rice in Kim Soo's hand that had fallen. Like this, that the problem here is why Kim Soo's body was found in a place that is about 100 meters away from here. So at this time, Cho asks Kimuchi that he doesn't even know if this woman called Kim Soo ran away from the serial killer. But this time Kimuchi says, no, it has happened like this. Kimuchi then shows a photo of the body of the woman named Kim Soo. He was wearing a jacket at that time. There were some scratches on the back of that jacket. That's why Kimuchi says that the serial killer killed this woman, named Kim Soo here, and then dragged her body from here to where the body was found. At this time Cho asks why this woman was killed in one place and her body taken to another place. Kimuchi has an answer for that too. Kimuchi then takes Cho to the place where he found the body of the woman named Kim Soo. Go in there. Kimuchi explains at this time that the woman named Kim Soo had a strangely broken middle finger. That middle finger is straight out towards a cross near here. That's why Kimuchi says that this woman's finger was deliberately broken on the side of the cross like that by that terrible killer. After that, Kimuchi takes Cho. You remember that Mujin who burned a gym coach to death, to the place where the body was found. The body was found on a chair near there. These people find that there are some scratched roads under the ashes. From the scratch marks under the ashes, you can understand that the chair that this Mujin was sitting on was dragged to a different place. Before he burned it, the chair where Mujin had been burned was near a window. Not only that, Kimuchi tells Cho at this time that Mujin's finger was also broken in a strange way. That finger is pointed towards a cross near here. It means that these two have been killed by the same vicious serial killer, because the middle fingers of both of them were broken. So that there was a cross nearby. Kimuchi tells about one more special thing. You may remember that when the first episode of Mouse started, a young girl named Song was killed by a headhunter. Actually, the headhunter is Dr. Hung. The young girl named Sean, who was killed in that way many years ago, is none other than the sister of Jim Koch named Mujin, who was killed in this way. Song gave two boxing gloves to his younger brother, Mujin, before he died. Those two gloves have been protecting Mujin like life. Those two gloves are now missing. Not only that, there is one more problem. That is the headhunter who killed Song, or Dr. Hung. But now Mujin has been killed by a different serial killer, because now Dr. Hung is in jail. That's why Kimuchi concludes at this time that there is some connection between the headhunter who was murdered like that, or Dr. Hung, and the serial killer who is now like this. Another thing Kimuchi has found is a Bible near here. That Bible was turned to the other side. Among the books, that means that Kimuchi concludes that whoever this serial killer is, this Bible has been placed there in such a way that the police can find it. After taking the Bible in hand, Kimuchi found that there was Mujin's blood on a certain page of this Bible. It means that before Mujin's death, this vicious serial killer had Mujin read one chapter of this Bible to him. That chapter has something like this: to break, a break; to the tooth, a tooth; to the eye, an eye. It means that Komukai has found out that Mujin read a chapter about this revenge to Mujin before his death. So considering all these facts, Kimuchi says that this terrible serial killer is trying to take revenge in any way. And not only that, this terrible serial killer is someone who has a lot of anger towards God, because the fingers of the two who killed this terrible serial killer were broken in such a way that they turned to the side of a cross. So after telling all these details to Cho, finally Kimuchi asks Cho if you found any details about Dr. Hung's son. Cho's face gets a little weird when she hears that. Maybe even now Cho does not know any details about Dr. Hung's son. About it later in the series. Let's see what we get. After that, it is shown that another important character of this series is coming to this series. That is the police officer called Yoon Baram. While Kamuchi is driving, this Baram suddenly jumps onto the road. This police officer, named Baram, suddenly jumped into the street because he wanted to save the life of a baby bird nearby. Actually, Yoon Baram is a police officer, but this Baram is a very innocent fool. So at this time, Kamuchi scolds Baram a lot for suddenly jumping into the middle of his moving vehicle, like this. So at this time, Baram apologizes to Kamuchi very innocently. Then it shows Baram with two of his fellow officers, Kaikook and Donggu. These people are planning to organize a festival in a prison for the prisoners. The prison they have chosen is the same prison where Dr. Hun is. Barium has prepared a magic show for the prisoners in this function. That's why at this time, we are shown that Baram and Kaikook are bringing a magic box that was needed for it. So on the way, Baram notices that Han is among the prisoners here. So Baram feels very scared after seeing Han at this time. After that, Baram shows that the magic show has just started. Baram then brought that big magic box here and asked one of the prisoners to come inside this magic box. So what Baram is trying to do at this time is to put a prisoner inside this magic box and make the prisoner disappear at once. So at this time, Baram puts one of the prisoners inside this magic box, turns the magic box around and opens the door. What they find inside this magic box scares everyone here. Inside this box, these people find Kaikook. Everyone here can see that Kaikook has been stripped of all his clothes, beaten, stabbed, and badly injured. So Baram gets very scared as soon as he sees something like this has happened to his friend. Baram can't imagine what to do now. Then a doctor comes here. The doctor says that he needs to take Kaikook to the hospital as soon as possible. That there's Dr. Hung. As you may remember, Han is a skilled specialist doctor. So at this time, Han comes and tries to save Kaikook's life. But this time, Baram doesn't like it because Dr. Hung is a vicious serial killer. Baram doesn't even want to let such a vicious serial killer touch his friend who is close to death at this time. But this time Kamuchi's brother is here. You may remember that the headhunter came and attacked Kamuchi's brother. His name is Won. Won is a father now. So at this time, Won knows very well that Han is the one who killed his mother and father and is the one who put him in the disabled state he is in now. But this time, Won says to let Dr. Han help Kaikook. Then Han comes here and stitches up Kaikook's bleeding wound. Another special thing is a finger. Kaikook's finger has been completely cut off by the person who attacked Kaikook. It means that now you understand that perhaps that vicious serial killer attacked Kaikook. Let's see what happens next. After that, the people here admit Kaikook to the hospital. In this hospital is Mujin's mother. You may remember the serial killer who burned a gym coach to death. So Mujin's mother also lost her daughter years ago. That means Song was killed by the headhunter. So this mother could not bear the pain, so she tried to kill herself. So at this time, this mother is crying from the hospital. Why did you save her life? And then another important character of this series comes here. That is Dr. Sung Yo-han. Dr. Sung Yo-han comes and then tells this mother, if you want to die, don't try all that. You need to cut a vein in your arm at least 2 centimeters. So at this time Baram is listening from the side. Baram then tries to tell Dr. Sung Yo-han not to tell this mother like that. When Donggu comes here, Donggu is very angry now because this doctor told such a story to that mother. So this time, Donggu is going to attack Dr. Sung Yo-han. But at this time, Dr. Sung Yo-han is looking directly into Donggu's eyes without any emotion or fear. So because he looked at his own eyes like that, Donggu got scared and stopped attacking Dr. Sung Yo-han in this way. Kaikook is in critical condition. Chaekook also has to have an operation. None other than Dr. Sung Yo-han comes to perform that operation. So this time, the team of doctors including Dr. Sung Yo-han managed to save Kaikook's life just barely. But still Kaikook's life is in danger. So here we are shown Kamuchi talking to Cho about this in the car. Kamukai has now come to a big conclusion. That is what kind of person this vicious serial killer is. So at this point, Kamuchi tells Cho that whoever this vicious serial killer is, he must be someone who knows the human body well, because before Mujin dies, that vicious chain killer has hit Mujin in such painful places that even his cartilage loosens. In addition, Kamuchi says that this vicious serial killer must also be very intelligent. So while Kamuchi is telling us what kind of person this terrible serial killer is, Dr. Sung Yo-han shows us from the side. You can see that Dr. Sun Yohan really fits the person called Kimuchi. But let's wait and see what really happens here. After Kaikook's operation is finished and the doctors come out, these doctors tell the people there that before Kaikook was brought to the hospital, they put a stitch to stop his blood, and that's why we were able to save Kaikook's life. As soon as he heard that, Dr. Sun Yohan's face became a little strange. He then avoids the others here. After that, another important character of this series is shown. Actually, only the first episode and the second episode of this series have gone so far. That's why I always say that another important character is coming to this series. This time, we are shown a young girl named Bonnie. Bonnie's mother and father are not alive. Bonnie lives with her grandmother. At this point, we are shown that Bonnie's class is open and he comes out, but now it's raining a lot. Bonnie calls her grandmother, but this time she doesn't answer the phone. Bonnie then stops at one place while traveling alone. There is a bridge. Bonnie is really afraid to go there alone. There is a big reason for that. When Bonnie was young, her mother and father were killed by a murderer. But from there, Bonnie has managed to save her life with great difficulty. That incident happened near a bridge when it was raining. That's why since then, Bonnie is afraid to cross a bridge when it's raining like this. That's why Bonnie is sitting by this bridge and crying. Barem is coming there at this time. Barem is Bonnie's close friend. When Barem comes and talks to Bonnie, Bonnie's grandmother also comes here. After that, all these people go home with Bonnie. So at this time, Barem is about to turn around and go back home. But at this time, Bonnie's grandmother says to Barem, "Now you're wet too, and there's no time to eat. Come on. Let's wear a washcloth and go while eating." After Barem comes in with a wash, Bonnie's grandmother gives Barem some of Bonnie's clothes to put on. Barem really has a crush on Bonnie. Not only that, Bonnie's grandmother is also trying to marry Bonnie to Barem because Barem is a good, young innocent boy. Not only that, Barem also has a good job, but Bonnie doesn't like it one bit. In the meantime, the police find another person who killed the terrible serial killer. The police have found that about 15 days have passed since the person was killed. A 50-year-old orphan man has been killed in this way. The police have found that this man's finger has also been broken in such a way that it turns in the direction of a cross. In the meantime, it is shown that this vicious serial killer follows a woman jogging at night, hoping to somehow kill the woman. In the meantime, it is shown that the police find a cat that has been killed. This cat was killed and its teeth were removed while the cat was still alive. So few police officers, including Barem, find the cat's body. So Barem vomits as soon as he sees this cat's body. So the other police officers blame Barem. How did he become a police officer if he can't see the body of a cat like this? When you listen to this story a little more, you will understand why this series showed the body of a cat when that terrible serial killer was killing people like this. In the meantime, we are shown that the police is also finding the body of that woman. Does that mean that the terrible serial killer followed a woman who was jogging? And the police have found out that that woman has also been killed by now. After Kimuchi goes there and looks, Kimuchi is also shocked by what he sees. The reason for that is that since the beginning of today's episode, everyone who has killed the terrible serial killer has left something near this woman's body. You may remember that gym coach killed Mujin. Mujin's gloves were missing. Kimuchi sees that the gloves have been placed on the girl's hand. In addition, Kimuchi sees that a woman named Kimsu was killed. A rice packet was torn like that, and a ring that was on that woman's hand was also put on this woman's hand. After that, they found a body that was killed by that terrible serial killer. Do you remember that of a 50-year-old orphan man? One of that man's shoes was missing at that time. At this time, Kimuchi notices that a missing shoe has been placed on the girl's leg. In addition, the murdered girl has a watch in her hand. That watch belongs to none other than Kaikook. That means Barem's best friend was injured inside his magic box. While doing a magic show in that prison, Komuk notices that Kaikook's watch was on his hand, like this. So after seeing this, Kimuchi understands very well that this terrible serial killer is trying to send some big message to the police. So you who listen to the story will understand very well that this terrible serial killer is the one who committed all these murders. It is because they want to send a message to the police that they have killed a girl in this way and left something of everyone they killed before with this girl. Besides that, Komukai notices one more thing. It was this serial killer. Every other murder had a place with a cross next to it, but there is no such cross where this girl was killed. But at this time, Kimuchi sees that the middle finger of this girl's hand is stuck inside her mouth. And that is how this girl was killed by the serial killer. So after taking out the finger that was put inside the girl's mouth, Kimuchi saw that this serial killer had wounded the girl's mouth in the form of a cross. In addition, Kamuchi notices that a message has been left by the monstrous serial killer on the roof above the vineyard. This serial killer has given that message to none other than Kamuchi himself. The message says, "So you found this too, didn't you, Kamuchi? I prepared this gift for you. How about my gift?" So now you can understand that this terrible serial killer directly challenges Kamuchi to find him if possible. So in the meantime, you may remember that terrible Dr. Sun Yohan. Dr. Sun Yohan is approached and told that someone is waiting to see him. Then Dr. Sun Yohan leaves. Sun Yohan goes to jail like that. In that prison is none other than Dr. Hun. Dr. Hun tells Sun Yohan at this point, "I was really looking forward to seeing what kind of person my son would be." So now you must understand that Dr. Hun's son is none other than Dr. Sun Yohan. That's how the second episode of Mouse series ended. Actually, you may not understand the story of this series. The 2 episodes are still over. The foundation of the story contained in this series is still going like this. Let's see what kind of terrible things will happen in this series. So in the end, I would like to remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to our Netflix Cinemax YouTube channel, subscribe to our Netflix Cinemax YouTube channel right now with the red button below. And don't forget to click on the bell icon next to it. So how was today's episode? Definitely below leave a comment. And I have another good news for you. While this Mouse TV series is going on, we look forward to catching up with the newly released movies, so see you soon in the next video. We will meet again. Thank you very much.